Imagine you are Margot, a young bride, barely 15 winters old. You are standing in the doorway of a stone cottage in the year of our Lord, 347. Your new husband, Henrik, approaches the marriage bed. The rushes crackle under his bare feet with each nervous step. The candle flame dances across his weathered face, highlighting the deep lines etched prematurely into his rough skin. He is nearly twice your age, and your father traded you for him, for 3 pigs and half an acre of barley. Your hands tremble as you clutch the coarse woolen tunic your mother sewed for this night, the same one she wore, and her mother before her. The smell of old wool, sweat, and incense is ground into the fabric, like the memory of generations. Through the thin walls, you hear drunken shouts. His friends, fueled by cheap ale, are yelling bawdy encouragements and banging wooden spoons against pots. They will not leave until they hear proof of consummation. They will not leave until you scream. Your breath, shallow and ragged, burns your throat. Henrik's calloused fingers reach for the leather cord around your neck. A cold sweat breaks out on your forehead. Could your mother's whispered warnings about marital duties have prepared you for what is about to happen in this cramped, smoky room that smells of damp wool, sour ale, and unwashed bodies? Doubts swarm in your mind like disturbed wasps. This is not a love story. This is the reality of medieval intimacy, a world where sexual practices were shaped by superstition, religious terror, and survival instincts, a world alien to the modern understanding of romance and desire. The medieval bedroom was a battlefield where bodies became political territories, where church doctrine clashed with pagan traditions, where the most intimate moments of human life were governed by rules so strange and restrictive they would make modern skin crawl. This was not simply a matter of personal choice. These were matters of eternal salvation, family honor, and quite literally, life and death. Let us enter Margot's world, where the concept of marital rape did not exist because wives were property, where menstrual blood was considered so dangerous it could ruin crops, and where the wrong sexual position could condemn your soul to eternal torment in hell. You lie on a hard mattress stuffed with straw, feeling the prickly stalks poke your back through the thin fabric of your dress. The autumn of 347 is a time for weddings of convenience, not love. The air is stale, smelling of candle wax and sour ale. You are Margot, and you have been given to Henrik. Beyond the door, there is a hum of voices, drunken shouts, crude jokes. You feel yourself being shaken like a doll, your clothes torn away. The cold air stings your skin. You hear your maidenly songs intertwine with the lewd ditties your friends are shouting. Here he is, Henrik. His breath is hot on your cheek. You smell sweat and cheap beer. His hands are rough, strong. A sticky wave of fear rises from your stomach, tightening your throat. Silence falls outside the door. Only muffled voices, waiting like vultures. Every move you make, every breath you take, is under scrutiny. You hear the floorboard creak under his weight. You feel his heavy breathing by your ear. Pain, sharp, tearing. A scream catches in your throat. This is the proof of your submission, of your womanly fate. Outside the door, there is cheering. They have heard. The marriage is sealed. But this is only the beginning. Inside, there is only emptiness and cold. The church dictates the rules even here, in your bed. St. Jerome condemns a husband's overly ardent love. Too much pleasure is a sin, even in marriage. Thomas Aquinas. His words are like stone slabs pressing down on you. certain days, certain seasons, a specific position. Any deviation is a curse. Oral sex is taboo. Sex during menstruation is a sin. Pregnancy, breastfeeding, abstinence, 50 days a year, only 50 days to fulfill your duty. You feel like a prisoner, not just in this marriage, but in your own body. Your bed is not a sanctuary, but a battlefield between desire and duty, between flesh and spirit. You are Margot, and your life is not your own. It belongs to the church, the community, your husband, and to the ancient superstitions that whisper their curses in the dead of night. You would have learned these rules from your mother. She learned them from the priest in the dark confessional that smelled of incense and sin. Eternal damnation hangs over you, over every breath, over every touch. He reaches for you. Henrik, it is a forbidden Wednesday. It is Lent, a choice, an impossible one. Submit. Risk your soul, the eternal flames. Refuse. Incur his wrath. A fist. Bruises that bloom beneath your dress like dark flowers. A world where your pain is his right. Woman, you are a woman. Man's broken mirror. Their gaze is warped, angry. The vagina, an inverted penis. The ovaries, testicles turned inward. You are a mistake of nature. Ignorance, no. Knowledge, in books written by dead men, in universities that teach how to hate you. Desire, pleasure, words you do not deserve. Constantine the African. His words are law. A woman needs more, longer, multiple orgasms. Rape, impossible to conceive. No pleasure, no fruit. If you are pregnant, you are guilty. You enjoyed it. Your mother whispered of the wandering womb. The fear in her eyes, hysteria, madness, death. The uterus roams the body like a caged beast. It suffocates the heart. It tries to claw its way out. The cure is smoke, sweet scents to lure it back, foul odors to drive it away. You are the battlefield. Your body is the enemy. You stand at the edge of the forest. Cold moonlight filters through the branches, casting ghostly patches on the ground. The smell of damp leaves, raw earth, and something sharp and bitter tickles your nostrils. It's pennyroyal. Here, in Margot's woods, under the cover of night, women gather it. You feel the damp earth seep through the thin fabric of your shoes. Your fingers are numb with cold, but you keep searching. Tansy. Its scent is sharper, more piercing, like the tolling of a bell. It is brewed into teas to prevent children. The line between life and death is as thin as a knife's edge. You know this. In the pouch pressed to your chest lies a mandrake root. It looks like a small man, twisted in agony. They say it brings fertility. You must wear it on your body, close to your heart. You feel its warmth through your tunic. Or is it just your own trembling? The market is full of fakes. Bryony, deception, the church. You remember the priest's sermons, his angry voice condemning witchcraft. But even the most devout whisper prayers to Saint Margaret, then bury the placenta under the threshold of their home. You have seen it with your own eyes. Folk medicine and magic are intertwined like the roots of old trees. The crucifix on your neck is cold against your skin. Beneath it, hidden between your breasts, is a piece of amber. To prevent miscarriage, you feel its smooth coolness. Superstitions, poisons, desperation. This is medieval contraception. 7 backward jumps after you tried it, and wine with crushed bees. Disgusting. But you drank it, and the potions. Mercury, lead, death. You remember the faces of those who didn't make it, who died in childbirth. 1 in 3. The horror. An unwanted pregnancy is a death sentence. Social ruin, exile, death, infanticide. The word sticks in your throat like a bone. You know it happens. They whisper behind their hands. The last desperate act. You are afraid. More than anything in the world, you are afraid. Medieval marriage negotiations were conducted like military campaigns. You are the battlefield. Your body. Your father negotiates your marriage to Henrik. Your virginity is your dowry, more valuable than gold, than livestock. The hymen is the currency of honor. It is exchanged between families, proof of your purity, proof of their reputation. The wedding night is not just a consummation. It is a public inspection. The bloodied sheets will be displayed for all to see. The crowd waits for proof of the marriage's legitimacy. No blood. You will be returned to your family in disgrace, branded a whore. You could be killed for the deception. The pressure is immense. You are a young bride. In desperation, you secretly prick your finger. You hide chicken's blood. You fake the evidence. You try to deceive them, your new family. Medieval medicine is hopelessly flawed. They believe the hymen is a solid membrane, sealing the entrance completely. They do not know about the partial, flexible tissue. Its absence is absolute proof of sexual activity, but it can tear from riding a horse, from heavy lifting, simply due to anatomy. Church doctrine on consummation creates bizarre practices. A marriage is not considered valid until intercourse has occurred. Consummation is proven or disproven in court. Church courts examine you and your husband. They question you separately about the intimate details of your wedding night. They inspect your body, searching for signs of penetration. They interview neighbors. What did they hear through the walls? Medieval sexual positions are strictly regulated by the church, but the reality is more complex. The missionary position is the only one that does not condemn the soul to the torments of hell. Any other position, with you on top, is contrary to nature. It violates the natural order of male dominance. The rear entry position is beastly. It equates human sexuality with the mating practices of animals. You hear their whispers, their muffled laughter, drifting from the tavern. The smell of cheap beer and sweat stings your nostrils. The minstrel's words, flying into the smoky haze, are a crude assault on your ears. Fablio, stories you try not to hear, but they get under your skin like poison. Sex, the forbidden fruit, whispered about in the dark while church bells call for repentance. The pages written by Andreas Capellanus burn your fingers. Elegant letters form descriptions of positions, techniques, and pleasures you are not supposed to know about. To know, yes, but only within marriage, for the purpose of procreation. But here a whole world opens up, a labyrinth of temptations where you are a prisoner of your own desires. It is dangerous. One word, one glance, and you are on the edge of a precipice with excommunication, exile, and death on the other side. A sticky fear paralyzes you. In church today, the sermon is about demons. Succubi, incubi. You see them in the shadows creeping in the corners of the room. A cold sweat breaks out on your forehead. They wait, lurking in your dreams, in your thoughts, in your flesh. The priest's voice sounds like an accusation. They are near, these demons, whispering in your ear, tempting you with forbidden desires. Nocturnal emissions are an unclean sin, the work of a succubus. So they say. But who can look into your heart to distinguish the temptation of a demoness from your own sinful fantasies? Fear paralyzes you. You are afraid to fall asleep, afraid of your dreams, afraid of what they might reveal about you. The incubus, the male demon. He is stronger than you. He can overpower you. You are a woman, weak, vulnerable. Every night is a battle, a struggle against your fears, your desires, the shadow of the incubus hanging over your bed. An accusation. One wrong word, one inexplicable dream, and you will be declared a witch. Victim and executioner are separated by only a thin line, and you feel that line growing thinner with every passing night. You wake up, you can't move, not a single muscle. A weight presses on your chest, like a stone slab. You can't get enough air. Your heart flutters like a frightened bird, a ringing in your ears, heavy, persistent. The darkness around you is thick, sticky. It smells of damp earth and incense. You hear a whisper, quiet but clear. Voices intertwine, forming an unintelligible prayer or a curse. Fear paralyzes you. A cold sweat breaks out on your forehead. You know what this is. It has come for you. A shadow creeps into the room, condensing in the corner. Your eyes begin to make out its shape. Clawed hands, horns, a grin full of sharp teeth. A demon. It is here to torture you, to defile you, to break you. You try to scream, but only a rasp escapes your throat. It's useless. No one will hear you. No one will help. Blood. The smell of iron haunts you. It is everywhere. On the fabric of your dress, on your hands, in the air. A nauseating, foul smell. You feel dirty, defiled, cursed. A dull, aching pain in your belly. Every month, it's the same. Punishment. For Eve's sin. For being a woman. You look at your hands. They are trembling. No one can find out. You must not touch food. You must not enter the church. You must not. Or else, exile. Or worse. They whisper in the village about women whose blood poisons the earth, about women whose blood drives men mad, about women who must be isolated. You hide in the darkness of your hut, among rags and moss, waiting for it to end, waiting until you are clean again. But you know, never. Pain, sharp, cutting. The physician looks at you with disgust. He speaks of the balance of humors, of the need for purification. He orders the servant to bring leeches. You feel them fasten onto your skin. You feel the blood flow, carrying your life away with it. He says it's necessary. To rid you of the poison, to make you healthy. You know he is lying. He just wants to hurt you. He just wants to punish you for being a woman, for being cursed. Herbs. You gather them in secret, by moonlight. Whispering spells your mother taught you. Recipes passed down from generation to generation. Knowledge hidden from men. Knowledge that can save you. From the pain, from the fear, from the curse. You know it is dangerous. If you are caught, you will be accused of witchcraft, burned at the stake. But you are willing to risk it. For relief, for hope, for yourself. You are a woman, and you will survive. You stand in the dim light of the physician's room. The smell of herbs and vinegar tickles your nostrils. The cold stone floor chills you to the bone through the thin fabric of your stockings. The physician, his face pockmarked, feels your hips. His fingers are rough, unceremonious. Are they wide, narrow? He will decide if you are worthy of bearing heirs. You feel like livestock at a fair. Your throat is dry. Then you watch as your fiancé, pale and sweating, is examined by another physician. You hear muffled voices, fragments of sentences, size, shape, compatibility. The words fall like stones, shattering your already fragile dignity. You feel a sticky fear. The church's whispers weave their webs. Kinship, of blood and of spirit. The curse of infertility, deformed children. You remember a distant relative, the one with crossed eyes and a hare lip. You are afraid. They speak of honor, your honor, as fragile as glass. One wrong look, one careless word, and it will all shatter. You are a commodity. Your value is determined by your virginity and your ability to bear children. You remember how the neighbor's girl, Marguerite, smiled at a soldier. The rumors spread instantly. Her father still won't look anyone in the eye. You tremble. The town is a cage. Every glance is a bar. Every whisper is the lash of a whip. You must be flawless, silent, obedient, afraid. You are afraid. You stand before this law, before these words carved in stone, and feel an icy wind cut you to the bone. Rape, not a crime against her, a crime against him, against her father, against her husband, against her lord. You are property, no more than livestock, a fine, torture, death. It all depends on who you are and who he is. Adultery, a one-sided sword held only over your head. She can be killed, without a trial, without an investigation, simply killed. He cannot. He is permitted, always. You taste bitterness in your mouth, the smell of sweat and fear hanging in the air. Courtly love, troubadours, knights, ladies, a spiritual quest. Words, words, words. They ring like empty coins. You see the glint of light on their armor, hear the whispers behind your back. A fantasy, only for the nobility, only for those at the top. Love outside of marriage, an unsatisfied longing, the purification of the soul through suffering. Long, elaborate phrases, like venomous snakes, coil around your heart. Functionality, spirituality, a separation like a chasm. You feel the ground give way beneath your feet. A choice? Do you have a choice? The blacksmith's son, the miller, economic considerations. You feel the rough fabric of your dress against your skin, the weariness in your legs. Better terms, a man you barely know. The smell of earth and manure. This is your reality. This is your life. You lie on a narrow straw pallet, the rough fabric of your tunic against your back. Beside you, almost touching your shoulder, is the warmth of another body. The smell, sweat, linen. A faint scent of incense brought by her mother. A board. A wooden barrier separating you and her. You feel her presence, almost physically. You hear her breathing, steady but slightly uneven. Your heart pounds in your chest, echoing in your ears. The moonlight filters through the cracks in the shutters, painting trembling stripes on the wall. You see the shadows play across her face. You can guess her eyes are closed. Fear. A sticky, paralyzing fear of making a mistake. Fear of her family, of the priest, of the unknown. You remember your mother's words. Test each other. Find out if you can live together. But how can you know when there is a board between you? When all you are allowed is to feel the warmth of her body and hear her breathing? You remember the pagan rites, whispered from mouth to mouth. Fertility rituals hidden under the guise of Christian holidays. May Day, a night in the woods. The smell of bonfires and wildflowers. The laughter of young women. You remember the stories of how pregnancies were timed to be the result of that May Day night. The spike in births in February. The hope for the continuation of the family line. The wedding is tomorrow. The grains and nuts that will be thrown over you after the ceremony. The consecrated marriage bed. The secret herbs and amulets meant to ensure fertility. All of this is a desperate attempt to control fate, child mortality, famine, the survival of the family, dependent on the number of healthy children. You remember the physician's words about conception. the male and female seed joining during intercourse, the female orgasm necessary for the birth of a new life, rape, a woman who becomes pregnant against her will, accused of enjoying it, a monstrous injustice. You lie in the darkness, feeling her beside you. The board is not just a barrier, it is a symbol of fear, prejudice, and desperate hope. You close your eyes, trying to imagine the future, a future where you will be together, not just in body, but in soul, a future where love will conquer fear. You believe that the phases of the moon can determine the sex of your child, that if conception happens now, when the moon is in a certain phase, you will have a son. And if you wait until another phase, you will have a daughter. You believe because that is what they say. The wise people, the midwives, the knowledgeable elders, and the stars. You look at the stars, trying to understand their position at the moment of conception, because that is also important. They say that the stars influence not only the sex, but also the character and fate of your future child. You want the stars to be favorable. It becomes harder to breathe. The air thickens with fear. You feel strange eyes watching you. They are everywhere, in the church, at the market, even in your own home. Neighbors, friends, which of them will inform on you? Who will tell of your secret life? Confession. You hate confession. Every time you go to the priest, you have to talk about the most intimate things, about what happens between you and your husband, about your desires, about your thoughts. You feel dirty, humiliated. The Inquisition. The very word makes you tremble. You have heard about the torture, about how people are forced to confess to heresy. But that's not all. They ask about sex, about positions, about frequency, about sensations, as if it matters, as if it could prove your guilt. Prison. You see the cells. Small, cramped, impossible to stand up straight in. Women convicted of adultery slowly starve to death. Bread and water. That is all they are given. And the men are castrated, right in the square, in front of everyone. And then they are hanged. Fear. It paralyzes you. You are afraid of everything, afraid to speak, afraid to think, afraid to live. You try to follow all the rules, but there are so many, and they are so confusing. How can you please everyone? How can you not make a mistake? Books. You have heard of books that have the answers. Books that talk about sexual positions and techniques, but these books are not available to you. They are for the rich, for the educated. All you have are whispers, folk songs, and the bitter experience of trial and error. Sins. The church knows all about sins. It catalogues them, listing hundreds of sexual practices and their corresponding punishments. You read the penitential books and are horrified. How many things are forbidden? How easy it is to stumble. You are suffocating. The air is thick with the smell of fear and hypocrisy. You feel small, insignificant, lost in this vast, cruel world. And you continue to believe in the moon, in the stars, in the hope that someday everything will change. You are immersed in a world where the whisper of lust is entwined with the iron grip of power. Marriage manuals, bound in gold and lies, slip through your hands. Their pages whisper of the secrets of the wedding night, of the art of managing desire during pregnancy. The words flow like sweet poison, revealing an understanding of pleasure hidden from the eyes of the common folk. You feel the velvet of the pages, soaked in the scent of myrrh and hypocrisy. The cold metal of a chastity belt presses against your skin. It is a symbol of the terror that has shackled female will. You see the glint of dim light on its jagged edges. Feel the sticky fear seeping into your bones. This is not just iron. It is a brand seared into flesh. The stench of cheap perfume and sweat hits your nose. You stand at the edge of the red light district, where sin is legalized and taxed. The church condemns it, while the city profits. You see women in distinctive clothing, forced into cages of rules and regulations. Their gazes are as empty as the cobblestones after rain. A whisper comes from the darkness. Droit du Seigneur. The words burn your tongue like a brand. You feel the humiliation of the peasant girl, given over to the lust of the feudal lord. Whether it is true or not, the very possibility is a festering wound on the body of the era. The smell of wax and herbs fills the room. You see an astrologer bent over a star chart. Kings and nobles seek a favorable hour for conception, believing that the cosmos will determine the fate of their offspring. You feel the weight of this belief, the burden of responsibility for the future, the beat of drums, the clash of swords. A commander orders his soldiers to abstain, fearing that sex will deplete their strength before battle. You feel the tension in the air, thick with unspoken desires and the fear of death. The body is merely an instrument of war, denied the right to pleasure. You are surrounded by gazes, unkind, appraising. You feel them drilling into your skin as you try not to reveal your trembling. The village community is a trap, and every resident is a part of it. Social pressure constricts your throat, preventing you from breathing freely. The young are not allowed to be alone here, and the marital bed is under the microscope of public morality. A poisonous doctrine seeps through the stone walls of the churches. Sexual pleasure is a snare, a devil's trick to distract from the spiritual path. Even in marriage, in a lawful union, lust is a sin, a ticket to hell. Fear burns in your gut. You learn to tame your body. Fasting, hungry, exhausting, cold baths, an icy shiver to the bone. Physical mortification of the flesh, pain as a means of atonement. Fleeing from temptation, from food, from music, from laughter. Avoiding anything that might spark a flicker of desire. But under the cloak of piety, a rebellion is brewing. In the shadows, in the hidden corners, a subversive culture is born. There, where vice whispers of freedom. You hear these voices, feel their pull, and you know that between the official world and this shadow realm, there is a thin, treacherous line. Forget about personal space. It doesn't exist. In medieval homes, there are no walls between the bedroom and life. Children, servants, the entire family, all are witnesses. Sounds, smells, everything is on display. Intimacy is a luxury available only to a select few. It is shocking, it is humiliating, it is your reality. Social inequality penetrates the bedroom as well. The nobility has its privileges, separate chambers, exquisite foods, entertainment, the opportunity to experience pleasures unavailable to you. Lords and ladies live in another world, where sin is sweet and permissible. You feel this chasm, an envy, bitter and powerless. You freeze in the gloom of the stone cottage. The flickering candlelight dances on the walls, turning shadows into ghosts. Henrik's hands, rough and strong, reach for you. It is not just fear that grips you. It is a weight, the crushing, all-consuming weight of an entire culture's sexual anxieties crashing down on your young shoulders. You carry a burden, the burden of religious doctrine seared into your soul, the burden of family honor, fragile as glass, the burden of public scrutiny as pervasive as the air. and your own desperate will to survive in a world where you are nothing, where you are offered no protection. You breathe in the smell of damp earth and cheap wax. You breathe out. Your own ragged breath is all you can hear over the pounding of blood in your temples. Medieval marriage. It is not about love, not about pleasure. It is a matter of survival. Life expectancy is short. Child mortality is high. Your purpose is children, heirs, labor for the land. Sexual pleasure? At best, it is secondary. More often, it is a sin, a dangerous distraction from the main goal. You remember the stories, the whispers of women at the well, the restrictive sexual customs, the subtle forms of resistance, rebellions in the dark. They sought pleasure. They expressed desires, despite the pressure, despite the fear, despite the constant surveillance. Intimacy. It does not exist. Everything is public. Everything is political. Everything is dangerous. The bedroom is a battlefield. Souls are won and lost here. Family honor is either defended or destroyed. The most private moments are governed by rules. Rules designed to eliminate pleasure, to maximize suffering. You feel his breath on your neck, the smell of sweat and earth. The cold stone of the wall presses against your back. A sticky fear paralyzes you. Every touch is like a blow, short, sharp, painful. You are the battlefield, the candlelight. It dances on your face, weathered by wind and time. You reach for her, Margot, as young as a spring leaf. And in that motion, in your hand reaching for her, lies the weight of centuries. The medieval night presses down on your shoulders, suffocating you with fear, steeped in superstition. A desperate hope for survival is what drives you, and also an eternal, unquenchable yearning for connection, for warmth, against all odds, against the impossible. Her hands are trembling. You can feel it, like the flutter of a trapped bird. Your fingers are rough, calloused from work. In this touch, there are not just two people. It is a collision of the sexual anxieties and desires of an entire civilization. A drama is unfolding, here, now, in the most intimate space imaginable. But even here, there is no privacy, no safety. This space will never be truly yours. It is alien, always alien.